So this video is an overview of what is to follow in this series. I want to create a video log of my rewrite of Scribbletune. This is for version 4. Currently Scribbletune is at 3.15 and I wanted to outline where the project is at the moment, where it is headed to, as well as the code itself in later videos in this series. This is the homepage of Scribbletune. This will also change. I'm considering Doxify. I've begun some work. I might kind of make it a little better and more interactive. So idea is to come to version 4, major version bump, and target it towards Max for Live devices. So far you can use Scribbletune. It's a Node.js module. It's an open source Node.js module. You can export MIDI files from the terminal, or you can create browser apps by using Scribbletune. And recently we have this Max for Live support so that you can use Scribbletune within Ableton Live. I do have a couple of devices, Max for Live devices. Even these are open source and they're available on my GitHub. But these use an older version of Scribbletune. And because of this inconsistency, it has prompted me to kind of do this major version bump with some fundamental changes. And I want to kind of walk over some of those fundamental changes as part of this video. The subsequent videos will have the actual code for the changes that we will make. And you can, by all means, give your suggestions and comments or whatever if you want to participate in this exercise. Okay, so coming back to the repository and the code, we are at 3.15. Scribbletune is written with TypeScript. I believe if it's a lib library kind of code, which this is, TypeScript makes a lot of sense. If this was a browser app, which is user facing and like a product kind of a thing, then I don't think you necessarily need TypeScript. You could just use React or whatever, because these days all these frameworks are so perfectly opinionated that you may get all the handholding you need in order to put together a solid product. So you don't necessarily need TypeScript in those kind of projects. But when it comes to a library, maybe TypeScript still makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to go ahead with TypeScript and kind of going to retain it. Yeah, we will go ahead and bump some of these versions like Webpack. I don't know, wherever applicable, I'm going to bump all these dependencies to their next version. We're already using Jest. I'll stick to that. Okay, coming to the dependencies. So we have tonal. Tonal is being used for chords and scales. Tonal uses modern JavaScript. So that is one of the challenge areas when it comes to working with Max for Live. So Max for Live has a very rudimentary JavaScript engine. I believe it's somewhere between 1.5 and I think I've documented it somewhere. So let's take a look at Max. Yeah, it's between 1.7 and 1.8.5 JavaScript. This means it doesn't even have repeat and replace, and even if you used ES6 syntax and decide to use a transpiler with it, you won't get transpilation for repeat and replace. You'll have to go ahead and create polyfills for these kind of functions. And as I was going around trying to maintain the Scribbletune version just the way it is, like not go for a major version bump, I realized I was polyfilling so much that I decided it's might as well kind of make the change fundamentally in Scribbletune rather than try to monkey patch something so that I can get full support for Max for Live devices. Anyway, so Tonal is one of those repositories which uses JavaScript, modern JavaScript, and hence introduces a lot of stuff that I end up polyfilling. So one of the goals of this version bump is to use Tonal, not to get rid of it or something, but move it to dev dependencies and write some script that will get hold of what Tonal provides and make a simplified version of it within Scribbletune, so that when Max for Live kicks in and we are using Scribbletune in there, we'll have a dumbed down version of the functionality that Scribbletune borrows from Tonal.js. The other dependency is JS Midgen. This dependency is probably the first dependency of Scribbletune that lets you write MIDI files with JavaScript. And originally Scribbletune started off as a project as a kind of a wrapper around this JS Midgen, and I just put together a pattern language, if you will. It's just a 6-character long pattern language. Let's take a look at it quickly. So this is the pattern language. It has only 6 characters, 1 2 3 4 5 6, and it acts as a step sequencer basically. So every X will play a note, every minus is like a rest. So basically don't play a note, like a step sequencer. And sustain will sustain the preceding X. The default duration of a X is a quarter note, which can be overridden to some other duration, and this sustain will honor that duration that you set, or the default duration, which is a quarter note. R is used for injecting random notes or even random volumes, and these two square braces, they are for subdividing a pattern. So basically there's this pattern language that I put together. It's just 6 characters long. If you get a hang of this, you can pretty much start creating MIDI files really fast with very less code. Okay, coming back to the code, and there is this other dependency that we have, which is kind of implicit, and that is Tone.js. That is for the browser support. If you install Tone.js along with Scribbletune, you can use Scribbletune to create browser applications that use Tone.js as the wrapper around web audio API from your browser. So these are the 3 dependencies. Tone.js is not listed here because Scribbletune itself doesn't need Tone.js. It provides methods that can map to Tone.js functionality, and you can use it along with Tone.js. Let's go to the index file. So this index file, single entry point, and it has all these methods that is pulling from all these files which are in this source folder. These are all TS files, TypeScript files, and then it is exporting this map which acts as the API. Initially we had only 3 or 4 methods. Now we have a bunch of them. I want to come to Webpack now quickly. So we do have only one entry point, and this is something that I want to change. This is the fundamental change that I'm going for. At the moment we have 2 build targets. One is for the browser. It creates this file called scribbletune.js so that you can load Scribbletune from CDN and quickly try it out. Get your hands dirty. No need to invest too much of time. You can even use it in JS bin or JS fiddle, CodePen. So coming back to this build target for the browser, this is not the recommended way of using Scribbletune. It's just a convenience method to get a taste of it. The other output is obviously the index.js. So this source, right? This is all TS files, TypeScript files. So this becomes index.js, which is over here. So this is all of Scribbletune. As you can see, this is like a monolith, and it encompasses all the functionality that you can possibly get out of Scribbletune. The upside of it is I have one single file, and it takes care of browsers, Max for Live, as well as terminal based applications. The downside is it has this bunch of functionality that maybe one environment may not even need. For example, if you're working in the Max for Live environment, why do you need browser compatibility? You don't need that. Or if you're working on a terminal based application, then you don't need the Max for Live functionality. So those unnecessary things kind of come into the same file and increases the size. And it's not that big, honestly. If I see the size of this file, I don't know how much it is, but it's not so big. But when you're building Max for Live devices, there it starts mattering. All these things kind of add up, and you want to make sure that you have a very small footprint so that you can make your Max for Live devices and sell them or give them away for free or whatever, and have less amount of code in them. So we have 2 build targets. One is for the browser and one is for the terminal app or the node module, which is basically exported to npm. This is what is coming from npm. When you do npm install Scribbletune, this is what you're getting. So I intend to have 3 entry points and 3 build targets. So these 3 entry points are obviously one for Max for Live, one is for browser, and the other is for terminal. So I'll follow the same pattern where I have there's this index.ts, right? So it's taking this bunch of functionality from source, wiring it up together, and exporting this API. So I'll follow the same fundamental, but I'll just include things which are relevant to a particular environment. Each of them will have their own config, right? Because I do want this thing to be on CDN.js so that people can quickly try it out in the browser. Yeah, one of the new features that I want to add as part of this is coming back to the pattern language. I want to introduce one more character over here. So the 7th character is probably going to be just a dot, like a period, a single dot, which will act as the dot notation that you have in music composition. This has been an issue on GitHub for a very long time. There was a request for this, and I never really got time to kind of fulfill it, but I'm going to do that. So that's going to be one of the new things as part of version 4. So I think I've covered more or less all that I wanted to do as part of this video log at least. And I'll see you in the next video where we will start by kind of simplifying this tonal JS, whatever that we get out of tonal, to simplify it in such a way that we can use it in Max for Live and at the same time maybe even Scribbletune in a different sort of way. Yeah, so see you then. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.